What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Box Out Boys podcast. We are the NBA podcast of the people, your home for lukewarm takes and substandard analysis. I'm Titus Two Shots Dominguez, or maybe Two Badges Dominguez. And joining me tonight is the stats man, Chris Gorman. Hit it with the stats, Chris.
Hey,
The
Chicago Bulls are 2-9 in the last 11 and have actually gained ground in the East to solidify themselves as the 10th seed. So
wow,
It's
playing
like all good teams do.
Dynamos. And if he was a trainer, he'd be a grass trainer. The lawn boss, Joey McCrosky. Get that, Joe.
Nice. Well done. What kind of Pokemon am I after?
I don't know.
A Snivy?
A Snivy. Ooh, yeah, a little Snivy action. There you go. Somebody played the Univator.
Uh-huh.
Chris, like, can we talk basketball?
let's talk ball.
Let's talk about. All right, boys. We got a fun show tonight. We're going to break down the Eastern Conference. You guys broke down the Western Conference last week when I was down sick. Thank you, gentlemen. Unfortunately, my wife got sick, so yeah. And now she's down bad, but it's all okay. I'm back. And then we're going to talk about Court of Gold, the Netflix series.
Binge the hell out of it.
You binged the hell out of it. Chris, you watched this, what, like a week or two ago? 2 weeks
Finished
ago?
it last week. Yeah.
Last week? Yeah. All right, me too. Excited to talk about that. It was a fun show. I really enjoyed it. Glad to see Joey went hard on it.
I went from not knowing about it. I missed that. Completely missed it, but yeah.
I missed it until, I forget. I think Chris said something to us. So, all right, boys, let's get into it. Eastern Conference. Interesting breakdown. Obviously, we got our Bulls hanging on to the 10th seed. Right up top right now, we have the Cavs. Any thoughts, just general thoughts here on the Eastern Conference? Then we got some questions here. Chris, you want to start us off?
Generally,
yeah, Eastern Conference.
You know, after LeBron said last week, which I don't really consider ourselves a part of the NBA media. We're more just commenting on it, but like trying to be more positive, right? I do want to be very positive. This conference sucks, dude. No, you just can't with the East. They're just not trying. There's 6 teams below with fewer than 25 wins in the East, and one of them's in the play-in. So it is nice to have some competition. And going through this exercise, I wanted to try to identify some teams that could take down the Celtics. You know, a lot of the Cavs, the Knicks, Bucks. We'll get to it. So there's some fun stuff there. It's just a bummer that not even the Heat are really. They're the 7th seed. They feel like they should be the 11th with the way they've been playing. So
yeah, no, that play.
It's tough year to be an Eastern Conference fan, if there is such a thing.
That play-in bracket looks brutal. Joey, general thoughts on sort of the standings right now, and maybe a team you're looking at for.
Yeah, this cold weather sucks. Nobody wants to come play in the East anymore.
Nope.
Everybody's going west to sunny skies and warm temperatures. It's bad. Even the teams it's weird that there's like the best team in the league as a big surprise shock, and it's like still you're just not even acknowledging it because a bunch of their wins are coming over some of these other teams. That's not why you're acknowledging it. The conference itself just doesn't have enough juice in it, and
they feel like they're missing that little bit of juice.
Yeah, it's bad, and I think there's just some letdowns too.
Yeah,
across the board, like the
Sixers,
like the Bucks, the Sixers, right? There's just like if the Sixers were good, maybe there's a little bit more
energy.
Excitement but probably not. I mean, are you really that much more excited if the 76ers are the 3rd seed?
No.
Well, if Embiid was healthy, and that means that
it would be interesting. Right? It would certainly be more interesting. Yeah,
it doesn't save the conference, I guess.
No. All right. I like that. You brought up a good point about the Cavs sort of being, or that a lot of their wins now are coming over some of these, kind of crappy teams. They did get a big win over the weekend over the Boston Celtics. They were down like 20 at some point in the first quarter, came all the way back. I watched a lot of that game. I thought Celtics were just going to do what they do and just kind of hang on and hold them off, but that was not the case. So we got a good question on it. based on that win, based on the season they've had so far, is it disrespectful to not consider the Cavs a true title contender? Because I would say up until like last week, I was hearing as the 3-team race. Basically, it was OKC, Celtics, and Denver as kind of like the main 3 tiers of the best teams. I kind of feel like this last week, people are really starting to look at the Cavs and say, okay, I think this is for real. Chris, what do you think, man?
So I like the phrasing of this question. Great phrasing.
It was great,
For
brilliant.
writing this question with the word disrespectful, I think is key in this.
Good word.
It's not just about should they be considered.
Yeah.
Is it are you wrong for not even considering them for? Like, are you just do you not know ball kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, for not considering them. And if I have to my take on this, is it disrespectful? I think I'm just cautious to really put the Cavs in that pedestal of the conversation.
Okay.
I have history of having hope for teams doing very well.
Cavs specifically.
The Cavs, sure, for one, but I was going back to the I did a comparison of the 2010-2011 Chicago Bulls and this year's Cavs team. So the Cavs net rating, Titus your favorite stat. Obviously, the Cavs are second in net rating this year, first in offense, seventh on defense. The Bulls, the year that they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, were 11th on offense, first on defense, and second net rating. So they were both second. And the thing is, like, fantastic. You look at this, you're like, these numbers are awesome. You know, the Bulls have a chance. The Cavs have a chance. The Bulls went 3-0 against Miami in the regular season and lost 4-2 in the playoffs. So do the Cavs have a chance? Yes, but it's kind of like how I didn't pick the Pistons to win many games. Prove me wrong, Cavs, because this team is just not this team isn't it.
You're going to be a little disrespectful, is what you're going to say.
I'm going to be disrespectful.
Disrespectful, Chris. You want to be positive.
I just think come playoff time, there's it's going to tighten up. It took them 7 games to beat the Magic last year.
Yeah,
I just need to see something
different team, more, I guess, a little bit, but
a little bit with DeAndre.
Yeah. Joey, your thoughts on this? Is it disrespectful? Is Chris being disrespectful here?
I think he's being disrespectful. I think he's being disrespectful to himself. I think he made his case for why they are contenders, because I think in 2010, 2011, we would have considered the Bulls contenders going in. Like this point of the season, we would have done a tier ranking. We would have said, yeah, the Bulls are contenders.
But when we have put the Bulls in a tier below,
they still would have been in that we need to prove it tier. I think the following year is the year that they were the serious contenders, and we all know what happened.
Yeah, I think contenders is fine. I think
horror struck. Yeah.
I think they are contenders. I think we've seen a long enough stretch here in the season that it's starting to mean something. They lost 10 games. That's it.
So do the Bulls at the same time.
I know, but like you can't say a team that's lost 10 games and beaten the defending champions 3 times. That's you have to say they're contenders. Like, and there's not necessarily like a weakness in their team. It's not like you're looking at it and like, all right, they've got, I don't even know what they're weak. Like, what a obvious.
I think they've got. They got one. It's Darius. That's it. But
he's also a huge positive offensively. So
I was gonna say, like, is that truly like a weak spot? Is it truly a negative?
Yeah. They're weird. They're like with their wing depth. They have Strus. Do they have Levert? They trade Levert, right?
Yeah.
Dean Wade, Hunter. They have all these guys that kind of like come in. Ty Jerome.
Yeah, Ty Jerome.
Apparently the guy now.
Late first round pick.
Are all 4 of those guys each gonna get a moment in the playoffs? Maybe. I don't know, man. I just let me see it, because I can't get hopes up for a new team.
I think we're looking at,
especially after last year with Minnesota, and
we're gonna get some first
history.
He's been
hurt. Ty.
Was that Ty?
We're just gonna have Ty. We're gonna have Strus. We're
Max.
Ty, Max. Ty, Max.
The Heat of 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I could all right, as the resident Celtics boy here. I'm gonna say I'm a little nervous about the Cavs. I think that game on Sunday, it shook me a little bit, to use the parlance of our times. It shook me a little bit to to see them not kind of hold on to that win. I think I was listening to a few pods or over the week, and they were talking about how Devin he's really not scared of the Celtics, and he's been playing great. I think he's averaging like 35 against them this year or something. It's insane. Like he's just balling out. It's weird because you would think that they should have an answer for him with all their wing depth and bodies. It might just end up having to be Tatum in a playoff series. Has to just go, all right, I'm going to put a stop to this. But I don't know if they have that one-on-one defender for him like they do for some other teams. And I think the DeAndre Hunter, you guys brought it up, when we talked about the trade deadline stuff, that was a good under the radar move or whatever. I think that was a very important for them. He's a pretty solid defender on Tatum, and it showed a little bit in sort of the crunch time of that game on over the weekend. It just looked like they have a guy that can body up with him. It's about that size, because I thought the same thing. Darius Garland, I mean, Jaylen Brown was just, anytime he was on him, he was going to the paint and getting to the basket. Wasn't really finishing. He hasn't been playing, super awesome compared to last year, but I think that's there. But without that one weakness, being able to be exploited constantly, with DeAndre Hunter being sort of the balance of that, I think it's gonna be a tough matchup for them. For sure.
Well, I think Mobley needs to make sure he can hit threes because you got two bigs.
Yeah.
Another reason with the Bulls, it's Boozer, Noah, Allen, and Mobley. And like people would be like, "Oh, Mobley and Allen are way better." It's like, well, Noah was pretty good. Boozer was an all-star too. So I don't know.
Technically,
one last thing I thought was funny while digging into this more, I noticed that someone was pointing out that so obviously we know that the Nets traded the picks for the Celtics, why the Celtics are who they are today.
Yeah,
but the Cavs also are think because of the Nets, because they traded Jared Allen. Because Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving wanted their buddy DeAndre Jordan to start instead. So they're like, all right, Jared Allen's got to get out of here. Then they fired Kenny Atkinson, who's now the head coach of Cleveland. So congrats to the Brooklyn Nets, really forming these two powerhouses in the East.
Yeah. This could have been you guys.
It's could have been you guys. Man.
Wow. That's a real sliding doors what if NBA moment. Any more thoughts on this, Joe, or you want to go to our next question?
Good, next question.
All right. We'll start with you, Joey. Do you have more faith in the Knicks or the Bucks? So they're both sort of that next tier behind the Cavs and the Celtics, obviously. Both have their flaws. But which one do you think you have more faith in?
Yeah, both have their flaws. This one was tough because I guess on both hands, it's who's going to be healthy when it comes time to make it count. Yeah. And the Knicks still have, the top minute getters. They don't seem to be interested in changing that. Mitch Robinson is back, so there's a little bit of wiggle room there. He's looked somewhat okay. I mean, obviously he's been out for quite some time, so getting back into shape here. Bucks, obviously, Bobby Portis down to the playoffs with his I don't even know what you call it. What was it? Illegal substance?
Yeah,
whatever. I don't want to call it. It's not like PEDs because that's wasn't what it is. But,
it was a painkiller.
Painkiller. There you go. So I was like looking at it, and I'm like, what's like the X factor between these two teams? Like what's the need? Like Cat for the Knicks, but I don't know if it's an X factor anymore because he's been pretty consistent. Like he's been riding the wave. And I was like, is it Kyle Kuzma? Is like Kuzma the deciding factor of like which of these teams is going to do it? And I was looking at it and I was like, well, the numbers he's putting up are like almost identical to what Middleton was putting up their championship year.
Yeah.
And I was like, the X factor when they won the championship it was Middleton.
Yeah, it was Middleton. And
I was like, is this the piece that like they were always missing? Like the year they won the title, right? Middleton was healthy for a majority of that year, and he was healthy through the playoffs. And then obviously after that, it was when he started the whole roller coaster thing. So like, if Giannis stays healthy, Lillard, Brook Lopez has been kind of rejuvenated. Maybe after the All-Star break a little bit. He had a pretty good game a couple nights ago. But like I was trying to convince myself that Kyle Kuzma is like an X factor. because like my initial gut thought was it's the Bucks. Like I trust the Bucks more.
Yeah.
Like they've been there before. Like the Knicks are still kind of trying to find themselves. They've got heavy minutes. They don't tend to like always turn that in. But then I was like, well, if my X factor has to be Kyle Kuzma, then you have to lean. You've got to lean towards the Knicks. So like I think I have more faith in the Knicks because they seem more clutch, I think. But like I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks somehow kind of find out to do this. You don't need Kuzma to be a superstar. You just need him to be the supporting.
Me about third guy.
The third act, like the fourth act, probably, I guess.
Yeah, get us some points. Chris, we got more faith in.
So when I was looking into this, the Knicks, has Tom Thibodeau ever coached a team with a lower defensive rating? They're 19th in defensive rating this year.
Yeah,
right. And Midrob is finally back,
great.
and maybe we're asking this question a little too early again. I really just keep wanting to ask it with the Knicks, but like, hey, Midrob just came back. It's been 3 games. But going off of who do you have faith in? Really wanted to like the Bucks. Giannis was 2 hours from me, now is about 4. Love Milwaukee. The Bucks they're 8-3 since they got Kyle Kuzma, which is solid.
Yeah.
Net rating wise, they're still like 12th. This team doesn't look any better. And Joey, when you were talking about like, I was kind of wanting to lean that like I like the Bucks, but you're like, Kuzma's got to be the X factor. You got to trust him. I don't trust Kuzma.
Right.
It's hit the
hard thing
shot.
to
Chris Middleton had the zone. You're like, I don't trust Kuzma to be the guy. He's going to be on like animal tranquilizer, whatever RFK is telling him to take, to help boost his performance come playoff time. So
he's an NBA champion.
Yeah, with AD and LeBron.
Technically.
Right? So is Jeremy Lin. Like, I don't know, but he was at least a factor. But yeah, Kuzma's good. It's just he can't be the guy taking the shot.
He shouldn't be that important, is what you're saying.
He shouldn't be the second option in the clutches when they're double teaming Dame. They need a second guy. You trusting Kuzma to take that shot? Do the Iguodala kind of shot?
They're gonna have to.
They're gonna have to, and for that reason, I'm out. That reason, so I don't want.
It's kind of the circle that I went through too. I was like, it's got to be the Bucks.
The Knicks, though, man, like the Knicks defense is so weird. They have OG and Michael Bridges. They're supposed to be these long dudes, just not getting. Cat's not a paint protector, so maybe that's been the bigger thing.
Part of the problem.
And the Knicks, Thibodeau's never been a great playoff guy, so it's weird to like think that the Knicks can do it. But give me the Knicks. This Bucks team it's just been ugly for me.
Yeah, man, you guys both make some compelling cases for these teams. Man, I think I lean Bucks. It's a real Sophie's choice here. There's not a lot to go with.
I love Dame.
No, I like him. Man, you guys are doing my quotes here. I think I trust Giannis the most. And it's a trust of Giannis, as I think So I think with the Knicks, 2 things with the Knicks that makes me kind of not trust them. One, after the first round, I don't think they're going to have the best player in a series going forward. All right, against the Cavs, it's going to be Mitchell. Against Boston, it's going to be Tatum. And against Milwaukee, it's going to be Giannis, And then I think Thibodeau teams just don't have that playoff gear, like to kind of Chris's point where he was saying, he's not a great playoff coach. I think it's because he plays so hard in the regular season. There's just nowhere else to go. With the minutes these guys are playing, that's not gonna, like, all that's going to change is the other teams are going to play their guys those minutes now. So now all these minutes that they were playing against bench guys, against the Pritchards and the, the subs of the world here, they're just going to be playing against the starters, and it's going to start to show just like it did last year. And I think that's kind of why I trust the Bucks more, but not happy about it.
That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to did the minutes catch up to them?
Yeah.
Do you have to trust weird people on the other side?
Did Kuzma hit jump shots and Dame stay healthy? Or
just Kuzma?
Would you guys rather see Cleveland play the Bucks or the Knicks?
The Knicks.
I was thinking the Bucks because Giannis being a freight train. Although there's like those 2 towers down there.
I mean, that'd be good.
I think Brunson Mitchell would be fun to watch.
Ooh, that would be good.
Like
Okay.
a close game. Those
But
teams both have a
Dame
tendency
Mitchell
to play
wouldn't
close
be?
games.
Man, either one.
Dame's not as much of a,
Yeah, I
like a
know.
creator. It's like
Yeah.
more of the catch and shoot. Like Brunson and Mitchell, kind of like late game, clutch time going at each other would be kind of fun. I guess it wouldn't be guarding, but like be kind of fun to watch those guys go back and forth.
I think you're right. I think that'd be fun.
Cool.
In the garden, it'd be great.
Gavin.
Mitchell could be the new Trae Young.
Yeah, we could just whatever he do, bowing or whatever he did.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Any other thoughts on Knicks Bucks? You guys want to go to our next question?
We got the next one. This one was tough.
Let's get
This
through
was
it.
a tough one. I thought this was it was a good question, and I was like, God, this is depressing.
Do I have to pick one?
Right? I was like, God damn.
Well, let's get a little bit of hype here. Is it worth investing more time in the Pacers and Pistons to view them as playoff threats this season? So we got the what is it, the last 20 games now? Gonna watch some teams. Who is it? Who are you thinking is worth the time to invest to see who they are going to be going to the playoffs? Joey, Pacers or Pistons?
No, it's the Pistons for me.
Easy
Pacers.
answer
I feel like the Pacers are just getting back to what they were supposed to be at this point. Like
okay.
they're kind of what they were last year. So like I've seen what they are, and if they would have played like this for the first month and a half, they'd be where the Knicks are, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even still, they're like 4.5 games behind them. Like they're not that far behind, considering how. I mean, we were talking like New Year's resolution time about them like needing to figure it that out. Like what the hell is going on in Indiana? Like you guys way off. So, kind of know what they are. The Pistons. I think I was talking to Chris last week when you were out. Like when they played the Bulls, the 2 games. Again, I know it was the Bulls, but like they actually look like a coherent, cohesive, like well-coached NBA team. And like when you watch them play again against the Bulls, but like it's so far from what it used to be with them that it was like shocking. It was almost like a mixture of like the Spurs from like 2 years ago and last year when there was like really no structure and it was just kind of like go out and be crazy. But then like when they needed a bucket or like there was a little bit of a run happening, you would see them kind of like bring it back together and like run an actual play. And they have that like good mix of Cade, who, it's like a good blend of, is it a blend of like Brunson, this is the top of my head, like Brunson, Mitchell, Ja kind of guys. Like you've got good finisher, you've got good shot creator, but you also got like good passer if necessary.
And a 6'6" frame. That's pretty nice, right?
Yeah. And then like I think the person I mentioned last week too was like Isaiah Stewart, which is weird because again he's like your 5th guy, but like he's your crazy kind of like wild Bobby Portis, Joakim Noah. Like he's your energy guy. He's your Draymond. He's your Dylan Brooks. Like those guys that like they're really beneficial to your team, and they're not going to fill up the stat sheet, but they're going to do enough just to kind of like keep you interesting.
Yeah.
So like they're middle of the pack in terms of like net rating and offensive rating, defensive rating, all that stuff. But they're kind of right there with the Pacers. But in terms of like good story in the NBA, I don't think there's a better story this year than the Pistons. And I would love to see them win a series. I think that'd just be kind of fun from where they were last year.
Yeah.
This year,
to kind of
climb.
Finally being the promise that they, everybody's been talking about the last like 2 or 3 seasons here.
Yeah. And they don't even have Jaden Ivey this season.
Yeah.
Like they don't. He's out.
It does feel like a bit of like a year one type of deal with them. Chris, who's your team?
Yeah, Pacers. They've been pacing. Tyus, going to do a thing about like best player in a best series. The Pacers will never have the best player in any series they play. Halliburton's fine.
Yeah,
just Siakam is solid. You can have him. Miles Turner. Did that guy? He just like became pretty good and just like stopped. He's just this B plus kind of player, depending on the day, and he just kind of gives you 7 rebounds, 16 points, a couple threes.
He was like a top trade target too, like 2 seasons ago, right?
Everybody always a top trade target.
Everybody's got to get Miles Turner, and then it just
and he just stayed. And it's like I think watching him play, he's kind of slow. I don't know. He's fine. But for me, it's the Pistons. Joey, yeah, the net rating for both teams overall is they're 14th and 15th. The Pistons over the last 11 games. I looked at the last 11 because I was looking at it for something else. But the Pistons, they're second, only behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're 10-1 in their last 11 games. This Pistons team's on a roll. They're playing teams like the Jazz and the Wizards, but it's 11 games. It's not just, anyways. The Pistons are on a roll. Cade Cunningham's been fantastic. This whole team just has. I'm trying to see who's the second best player on the Pistons right now. You can say Jalen Duren. You can say Aljay Thompson. Is it Tobias Harris, our favorite? You can have him alum, who's finally in a position where this is kind of fits for him. He's he's the guy that you want him. You need 16 points from him. He'll give you 16. You need 25. He'll give you 16. Kind of guy. So he's always just been right there, and he's giving them 16
tonight, buddy.
Yeah, and Cade will get the 30, and they'll figure out the rest. Malik Beasley's been on a tear from 3-point range. He's the best 3-point shooter in the league outside of Stephen Curry. So, and then Simone Fontecchio, who was their kind of confusing trade last season that they took. He's like the 30-year-old foreign point guard from Europe, and he's been great. He's been a really solid piece for them off the bench. And they have Dennis Schroeder. Anyways, this team, Tim Hardaway Jr., they have got guys. So I would love to see them in a playoff series, potentially upset the Bucks or the Knicks.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that could be
fun.
cool, right? And then just get trounced by
whoever comes next.
Or Cleveland. But
the Bucks like to get upset by lesser teams. So
yeah, that's their MO.
Milwaukee move.
It's a Milwaukee move.
That'd be the most Bucks thing to happen too. Just lose Detroit.
Detroit,
right?
Get swept by Detroit.
Whoops.
Just get blown.
How did that happen? That would be hilarious. Now I'm rooting for it. I've been woefully missing the Pistons this year. I kind of maybe was a little bit biased from last year. I'm just thinking they're going to be the Pistons of old, not much to care about. So definitely I need to start locking in on them and getting a feel for them. I'll probably be, locking into their first round series because I think it will be fun and interesting. I think they got some guys, like Chris says. So yeah, that should be at least a feisty team going into the playoffs, which is always good. You need at least one solid feisty team because the rest of the Eastern Conference is pretty much junk,
trash,
garbage,
hot garbage.
Heat and the Magic are pretty sad, along with the rest of the Eastern Conference. Is there anybody beyond those teams that we just talked about that's even going to do it? It's going to do anything, or frankly, belongs in the playoffs?
So, there's one thing that could be surprising. Just there's nothing to back it up.
Talk to me.
But Orlando is second in defensive rating. No. We all know defense wins championships.
Suggs just went down for the season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Come on, Joey.
That was their defender. He was a good defender. He's gone. It's over.
It's over. The second defense is gone.
Cole Anthony, it's okay.
All right.
They might fall faster. They might swap places with the Bulls the rate they're falling.
Yeah, the Bulls will keep losing themselves to a higher seed.
I guess they have to win one game, not lose all of that sets.
They'll probably
win. How about Condavis Caldwell-Pope shooting 30% from three-point range?
That is tough.
Forward. That's
making
tough.
The Nuggets look smart. We're not going to pay you. And everybody was just dogging them, at the offseason. Like, what are you doing? You got to pay money. And then they're like, nope, Christian Brown's good enough.
Yeah, this guy's only good because he's here.
Yeah.
He's only okay because he's here.
That kind of panned out, huh?
I saw a tweet somebody put out, said, is it possible that Cooper Flagg just skips the draft this year and stays in college so she doesn't have to go to Washington or Charlotte? Because I guess the opt-out day is June 12th and the lottery is in May. So he potentially could opt out. And a Hornets fan posted, and it was hey, we're going to be asked next year. We got nothing but time. We can do this. We can keep going. So I was God, what a terrible realization of where this
the thing
is.
Was Cooper Flagg in Washington on paper looks fun. Alexander Czar's 6'10", Bilal Coulibaly's also. You have three of those guys that can all kind of do a little bit of each at 6'10". It's
those all Frenchmen. No.
Well, Czar and Coulibaly are.
The Czar?
I want to just want him to go to a good organization. So yeah, Charlotte would suck.
Sure, looks like Washington would be slightly better, maybe.
Yeah, I guess.
If he's in the Hornets, that's the
Go to
worst.
Philly.
Yeah, that's the worst spot. Go to Philly would be trust the process.
Go to Utah.
Well, Philly doesn't have their pick, right? If they get
that's
a
right.
top 7 pick, it's gone. Utah seems like the spot he's going to land. I don't know how. It feels like
he's
they're
a very
ready for
Utah
that.
kind of player.
Oh, I did see somebody say that the Spurs could somehow luck into this thing again and have him and Wemby.
Suppose they could. It'd be tough, but it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, it would be. It's not out of the realm of possibility, which is crazy to say. Because you imagine those guys. I would be pissed that the two like best generational talents that come out in the last like 5 years and they get them both. But come on, man.
They deserve it. They tanked the right way.
They tanked the right way. That's true. Have your guy have a thrombosis, a legit medical concern, and like, hey, all right, we got to sit him down, which is fine. All right, anything else in the Eastern Conference? You guys want to talk something fun?
Let's do something fun.
Speaking of the Frenchmen, the French teams, we all watched the Court of Gold series on Netflix, which honestly captured my attention immediately from episode 1. It was awesome throughout. Was it 6 episodes, I think?
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah, it's been a week since I watched it, and I was in a fog of sickness. But an excellent show, I felt. So maybe let's just go around the horn, talk some general thoughts, and maybe get some specific moments you really liked. Chris, I think you turned us on to this a little bit, or
the uniqueness with the show was getting that locker room access and kind of seeing them have genuine moments. Like you saw the Serbian team, you saw Jokic yell at Bogdan for not guarding Durant over Bam. That's been going around a lot. Just moments like that were interesting. One that really stuck out to me was when Germany lost and Moritz Wagner just went to the locker room and just like started crying.
Yeah.
And like from the outside, it was just like, yeah, Germany didn't have a chance. Of course they lost. Like it was just like, of course they lost. Yeah, why would you think? But like to them, it's like we could have done it. And it's like, oh yeah, these are like people that like really believe that they can win.
I know they're
like,
foreigners,
competitors.
well.
No, but it's just like I didn't think he would take it that hard.
No,
like,
yeah,
he was. It was just like,
damn, Germans
they really.
People.
I think they.
I know.
But I also think because they had just come off the FIBA championship too, right?
They thought they were flying high. Yeah. 2023 is when they won the World Cup.
So I felt like they really maybe believed in themselves too. But Chris is right. Like those moments in the locker room, and you kind of hear everybody talk about that, like playing for their country, especially some of the stuff with the Serbian team. I think that was the team that I kind of fell in love with during the show, where I was like, dude, these guys are awesome. Like Bogdanovic, I was like, dude, this guy's great, man. He's the captain of the Serbian team. It just seems really cool in that moment. Joey, you gotta have some general thoughts on the show.
Yeah, the thing that struck me the most was the difference in how these countries like approach this, and like the levels between the NBA players and the non-NBA players. The moment that struck me the most was like, I think it was episode 5, when USA was playing Serbia, and you had like all the interviews with Bogdanovic talking about, what it would mean to beat the USA, and their coach talking about the dream team and like having, been around when that was a thing, and Jokic, and then you have those two guys who are getting their haircut.
Yeah.
Like non-NBA players, like just national team players played in Europe. And the one guy's getting his haircut, just kind of like smiling. The other guy's sitting there talking, and he's like, yeah, we're probably not going to beat them, but like there's a chance we could beat them. And like, that's all we need. And if we keep it close, we play hard, like we're going to be really excited. And I was like, just the levels in this was like, it was like, and these guys are like top, 2% of basketball players in the world still. Yeah. And there's just such a difference between what those European teams were like facing, and like kind of like trying to keep the reality of the situation they were up against like out of their heads of like, no, we can do this, there's a chance. But like the doubt just kept creeping in and creeping in and creeping in. And all the while, USA was just like, yeah, like Durant was, for me, the best in this entire series. Like hearing him talk as much as he did, I absolutely loved. I also loved Batum. Listening to Nicholas Batum talk was like his stories about like Durant and just like, or when Steph went off and he's like, what are you gonna do? Like, there's one person in the world who can make that shot.
That specific moment was great.
And he did it. Like, what am I supposed to do? We can't do anything about that. He was smiling. I'm like, God, it's got to be like so hard to realize, but it was awesome.
Oh, I do love that moment. Chris, anything specific to that kind of stuck at you, like that moment there, or some of that stuff Joey's talking about?
When Joey was talking about the Serbian players, I think it was the Serbian coach. It was interesting that he said, like the Serbia needs to beat the U.S. Somebody needs to beat the U.S. to like right the world, to right the basketball in the world again, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just like the USA dominating or something. It's like, oh, sorry, it's just the USA dominating again. It's like from the outside, it's like, oh yeah, man, these teams. It's a lot, yeah.
Well, I think like the point to the documentary was trying to make, and I think was really cool, but like to Joey's point, where I think these like all the teams are catching up. All the world is catching up is kind of what a big theme in the show, and I think to Joey's point, like they're catching up to a point. Like they're all still aware of the fact that you still got to go through the U.S. and they're still the best team, but they're like, hey, we could actually win this. Like we could win it. We're actually good enough to win. Probably not going to be like they're probably still going to beat us, but there's a chance if we play right and we do it. And I think that's why a lot of those teams took their losses the way they did, because they felt like it was tough. But then, like the Serbian team specifically, when they went to play the bronze game and they won the bronze, and you can tell they were still pumped about that. Like they were still like, we got a bronze medal. Like, we almost beat the Americans, and it was great. And I was like, dude, that's pretty wild. Think about that.
I love too, like, I think it was the first episode, Evan Fournier, who I think fell down like a scale of like likability, which was already pretty low. But he was basically saying like we've caught up to the point where USA has to like bring out their best squad, and it like literally immediately like cuts to Kevin Durant, and he's like, well, yeah, obviously, you did catch up. So what the fuck you think we're gonna do? I was like, like you guys are out here. Some of them are like talking like smack, like mostly him, but it was kind of like you got a long way to go. Like you're getting there, but like it doesn't take a whole lot still for US to just kind of piece together. Now that might change in the next 3 years. Like it's changing.
But then like I was kind of flow with USA team, right? They like dream team, disappointment. Like, are they good? Are they going to be that good again?
I was kind of thinking though, like in 3 years, is Bogdanovic playing for Serbia? Maybe one more. Maybe Jokic. I mean, he should play. Does he play?
He should be playing. Yeah.
Maybe France. Like Batum's not playing. Fournier is not playing.
Yeah. I mean,
so you've got Wemby, and you got Wemby,
maybe
Risa Shea.
I guess that's true, and
so
I guess
like there's going to be like the one team that stands. We haven't even mentioned them yet. Like that's going to have the longevity here is Canada.
Yeah,
the up and coming like.
Mm-hmm. How about that Canada coach? He was kind of
Jordy Fernandez.
He just seemed like a little bit of who's the Darvin Ham vibes to him.
Little deer in headlights.
Yeah, he was some of the stuff he was saying. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think you guys need a new coach. I'm glad you caught that because I was kind of getting that vibe too.
The French coach kind of got me a little bit too. Sometimes I was like, I'm not sure you're motivating people at this point. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like he's kind of at the end.
It kind of depends, I guess, on how you want to. The Serbian coach, that dude make you run through a brick wall for him.
Yeah, he was great.
Serbian team was a vibe in general, man. Like when they were just going to town, like at the halftime or whatever, that was awesome, man.
It was epic, right? Because you had Jokic basically being like, "You're guarding Bam. Why the hell are you doing that?" Like, had guard Durant, and then the coach comes in and just lays into all of them, and you can see Jokic just like, just stop speaking. Like it's just, you like shut it down. Like, oh fuck, Dad's here.
Yeah,
I think Durant really did. Like, I don't know if you guys felt like maybe sort of some image polishing or something happened there, but he definitely felt
huge.
He felt like he sort of redeemed himself a little bit. I felt like just the way other players talked about him, especially on the American team, where they're like, he's a hooper, right? You know what I mean? It's all he does is just hoop. And then the way he talked about playing for the American team, and kind of just even when he was kind of talking about like this is the only place he can go and play with guys that think the way he thinks and plays like he plays, and he's something like just like the camaraderie he felt with that. I think that was awesome. It kind of puts in perspective maybe why he's always looking for those super teams, and he's like, I just want to play with guys like this.
Sure.
Well, he's
misunderstood.
I think he's just kind of like one track a little bit.
Yeah.
One sort of comment I heard about it was that it gives a vibe to why he doesn't, or understanding of why he doesn't seem to be a great leader on a lot of his teams, and why a lot of people a lot of situations fall apart because all he really cares about is the basketball side of it. He really doesn't care.
He's not a leader.
He's not a leader.
Just not his personality.
It's not his personality. He's like, I just want to come and play ball, and I just want to play with other guys that want to play like that, and I don't need to tell you how to do it. I think that's kind of his vibe. And you can see that, but it works on the Team USA when you have LeBron and Steph and all these guys that are like, yeah, we're all great.
It's funny to see Carmelo on the sideline telling them like, move out of the way, let Durant just cook here for a second.
So.
Just like, oh my god.
I also liked when Obama was ribbing Anthony Edwards.
That was a good one.
When Anthony Edwards said, "I'm the truth," and he called LeBron over, and he's like, "This man here is saying he's the truth." And Edwards immediately was like, "No, what I was saying."
Yeah, tell him how it actually happened. I'm like, dude,
because Obama was trying to take it out of context. Right?
Yeah,
he was
hang on,
he was just leaving out the part of like he was kind of
Joel was
it was funny.
That was really good. The only thing I was missing is you mentioned the locker room access, which was awesome, but there was no USA locker room access.
Okay.
And I'm guessing that was by design. I'm guessing they had to agree to this,
but why
USA
though?
Must have not wanted them in there. I'm wondering if it was like, hey, if we lose, we don't need it on film, like the instant reaction of us losing. Because once they have the footage, right? Like you have it.
I did notice
that's the only thing I can think of.
Because I kind of wanted to see that halftime against Serbia. Like I wanted to see some of that for the American team, but maybe it just wasn't, like cinematic or something. Like it was them kind of going about their business. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, the fact that it didn't have anything though, like not even like a clip, makes me think that they said you're not coming in. Unless unless there was enough like, hey, this is literally NBA coaches between Spoelstra, Ty Lue, Kerr.
Yeah.
Like, are we doing NBA things that we don't want out in the ether? That was weird though. I would have loved to see some of those.
Yeah.
I would love to see who was speaking at halftime of that Serbia game.
Yeah. At least in the American version of the show, you know what I'm saying? You could send out a different version to, the other countries don't see what we're doing, in our halftimes. But hey, for the American side, let us see. I did love the very, very end when they're interviewing Wemby and he's like, I'm worried for everybody. And then they just cut to black.
Yeah.
That was epic. I was like, yes.
It's a good way to end it.
Netflix has figured out how to make short sports documentary series.
Yeah. They did.
Because it was the same vibe as Starting Five.
Yep.
It's the same feeling as Drive to Survive, which was the first one they did, and then the golf one, Full Swing. Like they're all identical in the way that they're filmed and the interviews and the splicing of things.
That's true. This was just so much better than Starting Five. I think just because
it was more compelling.
It was better content.
It was more content. Yeah. And it didn't get released at a time when the new season was starting.
Yeah, we already knew what happened. I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more from Tatum, like how he felt about the whole thing. They kept saying out like, we can't play everybody.
Yeah.
It was interesting. So it was interesting. But I'm trying to think what other stuff I liked about the show.
I enjoyed the coaches doing their cold ones after the games.
Yeah, that was great.
And then who
LeBron?
was it that said, and then was it Jokic that was like, hey, if you need a beer, like go to Steve Kerr. Like I guarantee he has a cold beer. He always has a cold beer. Like go find him. Found that interesting. drinking
I did-
Heinekens.
Yeah, I did like too. Anthony Edwards abstained during when he was with the Obama thing, whatever.
On
Yeah, is he a
camera.
teetotaler? Maybe I don't know.
Well, I was guessing the younger guys because they
He's
even
under
mentioned
21.
something.
No,
Oh, you
he's-
could. Is he?
Was
Wait,
he?
no.
Wait,
Would
He's
he have been
22
last
now,
year?
right?
But
Now I need
last
to like
year?
look up how old Anthony
No,
Edwards
but
is.
I thought it was more of a athletic thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, he's
'Cause
23.
Halliburton didn't drink
He's
either. Wasn't
23?
drinking either. Yeah.
August
'Cause-
5th, 2001. So yeah, he would have been 22.
But because Obama made a comment, he goes like, "Oh, the young guys aren't drinking," but you saw the old guys like LeBron was having no wine, stuff was because they're like they're done. Like I feel like these young guys were like, "Nah, man, we're in the prime of our career. We don't do that, man." Which I thought was interesting. I was like, "Man, that's pretty cool." Maybe a little bit of insight there on Luka having a beer.
Maybe. But then you see Jokic just kind of going to town.
He's such a vibe. He's so much fun.
Jokic is
Yeah.
Jokic is Jokic.
He's just got the big beer stein just going to town. Just makes you think of you, Chris. Like I did that. Just like I was watching that all and I was like, if Chris was a professional basketball player, he's Jokic.
If I had half the talent.
Yeah.
He'd be like super
Okay, fine.
serious
Yeah.
in the game. And then afterwards, just this big smile would erupt, and he just had this big
Yeah.
beer stein, and just like grabbing everybody on the shoulder, shaking everybody, walking up to everybody, hitting them with their beer mug as hard as he could. It'd be
They're just
good old
cooking
time
everybody on the court.
Did you guys was there anything out of this that you want to see like expanded or like another like series made out of any like subplot or story from this?
There was
Because what I got out of this was I want to see like a last dance, this type of style of the Warriors, because I thought Steph was very good as well in his interviews, and he always has been in like everything he does. But like hearing his perspective of like, hey, like I have to make these shots, like I have to keep us afloat, and like the mentality he was going through.
Yeah.
It's like hearing him and KD do like a last dance style thing where like they're not doing it sitting next to each other, but they're separate.
Yeah.
And then like splicing in all the stories from like the other players, all just like they did. Like hearing Batum talk about Durant and Steph in those like mold was like, that's cool. That was cool here.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think KD was that personable before, but this was like a good eye-opening thing. So like I want to see some of that maybe in the next 10 years when they're done.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I think you brought up that point about the Batum comment about like that specific moment at the end where he's like, there's nothing I can do about that. And I remember watching it live and then watching it again in the show just reminded me how absurd that shot is.
Yeah.
Like, because he's double teamed and he's like fading away.
Down here.
I'm like, and it's just this bizarre, it's like, oh yeah, he hit it. But what are you gonna do? Like, if he hits that, like, you just go, all right, man.
It was double team too.
Yeah,
2 dudes on.
LeBron's wide open across the court. I remember every time I kept saying why he doesn't skip that across. And the reason why is because he's gonna hit the shot.
Well, even Steph said he's like, I assumed he was
Yeah.
going to kick it across to LeBron,
Yeah.
and then he sent it back to me, and I was like, well,
Nope.
I guess I got to shoot it.
Yeah.
He got something to do. And I've taken that shot 1,000,000 times.
Yeah, what did he say? He's like, it
Yeah.
looks really difficult.
Yeah, he goes, but
The
I've done
footwork,
it. Yeah.
the footwork looks really difficult, but it's really not that hard. I was like, what do you
Yeah.
mean it's not that
Not
hard?
that hard. Not that hard for you, man.
No, it is difficult.
It's extremely difficult. But like that's, I think to your point, like that's the kind of the cool stuff. I think just in general with sort of these this old guard that's kind of coming to the end, the LeBron, the Durants, the Currys, with like kind of Wade as sort of like the elder and like Melo, sort of the guys that have already retired. I like that to kind of see some more content from those guys talking about the game and just kind of like what it all meant and how they felt about stuff.
Wade was much better in this than he was at calling the games during.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was good in this.
Yeah, it's not a good in-game color analyst. Good
The clip they
storyteller
used were
after the
okay.
fact.
Yeah.
It was
Great
good though.
show.
I enjoyed it.
Yep.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Any other things on Court of Gold? Other just go watch it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, definitely
I'm
worth
sure
it.
there'll be more basketball documentaries too. This is probably a huge hit. We're getting starting 5
Yeah.
season 2. I like the Last Dance idea with the Warriors. Get Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond. They would all be personalities for that kind of.
They got to win a
series,
title.
so.
I mean,
Who's
there's so much there. Like the KD coming in, Clay eventually going out. Like there's enough there to fill a fair amount of time.
so you want to do
I
like
was saying
one
just follow
on the
the
Warriors
for the last
dynasty?
season.
I want to do one on
Oh,
like
yeah.
the Warriors
The
as a
whole-
whole.
Yeah, just the
Like, give me
Warriors.
a 10, like basically Steph's career. Like
Yeah.
which
Well,
what
that'll
last dance
absolutely
was
will
basically
happen.
Jordan's
Yeah, it's
career.
a career. Yeah, we'll get a
It
Steph
was about
doc
Jordan. Yeah.
because
Did
we
you see
got
there's a Celtics
Celtics.
documentary.
Yeah, I'll
I watched
watch
the first
that.
episode. It's really good.
It's really good.
They interviewed Bob Cousy. Bob Cousy's 96 years old.
Holy crap! The
That
guy's still
man
kicking
is he's an old man. He still looks pretty good for 96.
for
He's
96.
coherent.
Okay.
But that was really interesting to hear about basketball in the 50s and like just everything.
Yeah.
How the game was played and what they had to go through and everything. It's actually a pretty good series.
So much basketball media.
That was on the list of gonna watch, so I'll be looking into that. Maybe we'll do you guys want to do it? Celtics
I'm not
town?
watching
I know.
that.
Let's say Joey's not watching that.
I'm not watching that.
I'll come up with takes.
I'm not committing to that.
That's a great
It's
show.
like 9 parts, so I kind of get it.
It's a long one.
But
Man, I have to go rewatch Last Dance.
all right.
Yeah, it kind of makes you want to.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for us this week. We'll be back next week, maybe doing some tiers, some other things kicking around. We're getting to the home stretch here. Not gonna lie to you guys, though. I am pretty locked into college right now. I think for the next till about mid-April, there's gonna be. If you guys want to know Alabama, Kentucky thoughts, Auburn, I got you. But
Don't care.
I know.
Oh, we should definitely talk about. Yeah, does Alabama have enough defense to actually win the championship? Right, like
I don't
just
think I'm a
all
little
offense.
concerned
that
about them.
team.
I like them, but I'm a little concerned. But yeah, so we got that coming up. Obviously, the stretch run of basketball will be breaking down everything leading up into the playoffs and the play-in, and more to come. So that is it for us tonight. Follow us on social media at the Box Out Boys. Slide in those DMs. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on YouTube and Spotify. We very much appreciate that. So for the boys, until next time, Box Out.